I'm Allison Hicks. I'm here today with Barry Stern on November 9th, 2008 at the Valley of the Sun JCC. And this is the Oral History Project, now Oral Video History Project today. So Barry, welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for asking me.
I hear that you are an Arizona native.
Yes.
Which those are probably very few and far between this early in Arizona's history. So I would love to hear how your family ended up in Arizona.
Okay, well, my grandfather came out here in 1912. He was actually on his way to California. He had left Russia, Poland. They'd either call it Russia or Poland at that time. They didn't know which. Probably around 1908, after there was a pogrom, some type of pogrom, and they cut off his father's beard. His father was apparently a learned man with the Talmud, and it was a significant fact. So he left, and he went to New York and worked there for about 5 years, apparently in a hat factory, and after seeing somebody get fired after working there for 40 years, he thought he'd go west, and he was on his way to California, and the train stopped in Tucson, and somebody was selling newspapers and said Arizona's just become a state, and he figured I might as well get off here, and then he started business in it as a second-hand store, which he built up to about 7 stores in Arizona before the Depression, and ended up with 1 store, which was the one in Phoenix.
Wow. And you were born here in 1939?
Yeah, in the old St. Joe's Hospital.
Wow. I mean, what was the Jewish community like back then? Was there even a very cohesive Jewish community in Arizona?
I thought there was. We had Temple Beth Israel on Culver, and I really never thought about whether anything was cohesive or not. You know, that was, we went to temple and celebrated the holidays.
So you grew up here, your parents grew up here. I know you said you had an aunt who has a really interesting, unique story.
My Aunt Jeanette and my Uncle Harry were twins.
Oh.
And he was going to have his bar mitzvah. And at the time Rabbi Krohn was here, this was like 1939. And the way my aunt describes it was that because the rabbi knew that they always did things together, and so he said, well, why don't you have a bas mitzvah at the same time as Harry has his bar mitzvah. So she had bas mitzvah, mainly because of Rabbi Krohn. And as it turns out, it was the first bas mitzvah in Arizona and possibly the United States and the world, because I understand bas mitzvahs were kind of an American invention at the time.
Wow. That's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And so did you stay in Arizona through your childhood and through college, or did you leave and return?
No, I was out of state quite a bit during education.
Okay.
So.
And what made you come back?
Well, this is home.
Now, have your children come back to Arizona? Did they leave to go to school?
Yes, our son, he had similar training that I have, and then he's a urologist also, and he's practicing in Sun City.
Okay.
Where I'm practicing. Our daughter is at the University of California, Davis, where she's a PhD student in nutritional biology.
Oh, that's very interesting. And what do you think your wife's experience was coming to Arizona from someplace like Chicago? I mean, being born and raised in Chicago is probably a very different experience to then coming out to Arizona a few decades ago. What do you think the transition was like for her?
I think she's used to the big city, and she's used to trees, and she was just amazed to see the desert, I think.
Yeah.
But she's grown to like it. But she loves Chicago.
And did you find it was hard for her at all to transition into the Jewish community here, or do you feel like it was pretty, at that point, it was substantial enough that there was?
Well, it's an individual thing, and she's very gregarious, and she's more part of the Jewish community than I am, I would think.
Okay.
She's very active in the Arizona Jewish Historical Society,
Okay.
so it's for her. I think it's an individual thing. It's for her. Everything seems to be easy with people.
One of the things that I've heard a lot about is some of the changing landmarks there have been in the Jewish community. For example, the former JCC where the Phoenix Suns used to practice, and the building of this facility, the building out east. That's a lot of change for our community in a pretty short period of time. Do you remember some of those facilities? Did you ever go to them? And what are some of your memories of those things happening?
I think the one that was on around Maryland or Bethany Home Road, somewhere in there. I vaguely remember that one, and then I remember the one around 16th Street in Camelback, just to go swimming there.
Okay. Which one was first?
The one on Maryland,
Okay.
And the newer one was on 16th Street.
Okay.
And I don't remember too much other than going swimming there, and maybe once somebody asked me to give a talk to some pre-medical students about medicine when I was in medical school.
Okay.
But I was never really involved with the Jewish Community Center. And then just driving up to this one this morning, it's just mind-boggling to see the facility here.
Yeah, I mean, this must be quite a change from what was available, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, before it used to be more of like a place to go swimming and maybe have some meetings and all, but nothing like what you have now.